Get rid of right now, Adam. Thank you for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming down from the Sunshine Coast.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Is it always sunny on the Sunshine Coast? First question.
Everyone asks that. It's pretty much this, the similar to here.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
What made you make the move up there as an artist? It seems like Vancouver's a spot to be.
You would think that maybe because there's more people, more opportunity. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, essentially, and the culture seems to be more popping. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely not as many people
Generally.
and opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
But what I do, like, I've only been up there for a few
Right.
months now, and what I do like about it is it's quiet and it's isolated. So I don't have a lot of distractions that I did in the city.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking the rest of the year off. And
Really?
I'm just working right now.
Wow.
Like working, but on art,
Okay, let's define that right now. So you're a lot of things.
I don't have
here.
a 9 to 5.
You don't have a 9 to 5.
Don't have it.
But you're working and then you're working. So what do you mean by that? You're taking, when you say taking it off.
I'm treating my art as my job right now.
Taking your art as a job.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not drawing or doing art, what are you doing for money?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I have a little bit of money saved.
Damn. Good for you.
I took the chance.
How did that happen?
Well, I was out here with my dad, and then I have family on the coast already, and I already have property up there as well as my parents.
Wow.
So the only reason I haven't moved up there like prior to now is just because as the people thing, there's not a lot of opportunity.
Yes.
So there's way less jobs, right? It's a pretty small community, which isn't a bad thing.
I come from a small town. It's all good.
I like it. So what I mean by that is there's no Walmart even.
No Walmart.
No Future Shop. There's no big. Those
McDonald's?
aren't even really. There is one, but the second one they had actually shut down.
Damn.
Yeah.
Not enough people to sustain 2 McDonald's.
Yeah. So.
I hear you. Well, thank you for coming down. First off, NDlocal. Can you explain that for me? What's that
name?
Yeah.
It's where I was living before in North Delta.
No way.
Yes.
Are you serious?
That's the name.
Listen. Stop right here. We gotta actually. We'll talk after the podcast. We're gonna get a different origin story for you. All right, we'll figure something super esoteric and something stoic to do that.
Stoic, yeah. Well, I mean, that's where the name comes from.
Right.
But I came up with that name before Instagram existed.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
Pre-Instagram.
So, I think when I first came up with it was like YouTube. I made a YouTube channel way back in the day.
Wow.
Because I grew up skating with like all the kids in my neighborhood. So we would go out and film. We would make videos. We would, we've traveled everywhere really. And so I started putting stuff on YouTube, and I needed an account name. So I was like, what should I put it as, right? And so in like the skate community, going to different parks and stuff, you always see the crew for that area. Like, for example, you go to Tawasin, right? There's like the Tawasin locals.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know what I mean? You go to Coquitlam, there's the Coquitlam locals, right?
Yeah.
You always just call them Lokes for short, right?
Yeah, okay.
And so it'd always be like, oh, the ND locals, because like I was part of like the 10-person crew, right? So it was always like, that name was always just around.
Yeah.
And then I needed a name for the account. I was
There
like,
you
okay,
go.
NDlocal,
No
and
problem.
then I just kind of stuck to it. But it's nothing that crazy, I guess.
So now that you've kind of like risen, I won't say to stardom, but to like some level of notoriety, yeah, we're gonna have to rethink that one.
The origin story, you mean?
Yeah, the origin story. We're gonna have to give you some, like, I went to Tibet and I was talking and meditating with a monk, and through that meditation, these letters mean this, or I have no idea. But to get to your level, so. But why have you stuck with it then? Like, what have you not done a rebrand? That's one thing I noticed about you is you're not brand heavy. Like you're very aware of the things that you do and how you move and how you draw. But I'm not like seeing a ton of like brand promotion or marketing or anything like that. It's just literally like, here you go. Here's art. I'm done.
Yeah, I guess that's how it looks. Not that I not that I try.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, it's too bad no one notices that I do,
Yeah.
But it's pretty much how it is,
That's
really.
pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Not that I don't care, maybe that's not the best word choice, but I definitely do care about what I do.
Yes.
But there's only so many things you can care about and do well, So with what I do, and especially with Icy and Made as well, and then having like family stuff, you're like spread so thin, you know what I mean? And then so if I'm trying to add on I need to like figure out a website and the Shopify thing, and I need to find a good person to do prints, and if I'm always worried about that kind of stuff, then it's gonna slow me down.
It's gonna kill you slowly.
Yeah, and it's I can't be a one-man band all the time. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So it would be nice if maybe I get to that level where it's available to me to have an assistant or something like that. I don't feel like I really need one.
Yeah.
Even though I've had so many people reach out to me that aren't even from Canada that are like,
what do you need? What do you need?
Yeah.
How can I help? How can I be involved?
And it's weird to me because I'm you never know the view other people have on you. You know what I mean? How they perceive you. So whenever I have people reach out to me for certain things, I'm always kind of really? You think of me like that? Because to me, I'm just
a person.
A fucking no one. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I said, you don't know how other people perceive you. So it's interesting to see, again, we've met in passing, but you and I haven't really
exactly
met. So today I was like, oh, I wonder what he's going to ask me.
Right.
It's cool to just kind of, shoot the shit, whatever. But I've done so many interviews with people where, sometimes it's kind of freestyle and you can tell, or they'll have set questions and they're like, okay, so you asked and answered that. Okay, let's do this one. Yeah. Oh no. And they're like, oh no, I don't want to do that one anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder how.
Yeah.
I've only had one person that was kind of Nardwar with it when they were I was like, oh shit, you went back in things and dug up stuff on me. I'm impressive. So
the Narwhal route is really interesting. Shout out to Narwhal first off for coining that entire way of being and interviewing. Yeah. But the Narwhal thing is really interesting because it's you need to find angles. If you're sitting there for a conversation, it's just about finding angles. When you're drawing a painting, it's just about finding angles. What can you bring that's unique to the conversation? What can you bring to the table that, for instance, I can Google you and anyone can Google you or go to your Instagram and see that surface level stuff of what you're interested in, who your favorite artists are or whatever. But it's well, let's get past the surface. Obviously, for me, the concept I took was the approach I took was let's go into that person's mind and let's find the concepts that are existing in that person's head. And then try to expand within those concepts. So literally go into your mental space and say, okay, well, as a person in this position, knowing what I know from this background research, how are they going to position themselves moving forward? What are they thinking about? What concepts are they pondering? How are they pushing their own thought? When Adam goes for a walk and he's like, fuck, I'm really trying to think about perception and other people's perception of myself. How I need to change that is important. Do I need to care about it? Should I have a marketing rollout? Those are the type of conversations that the little ones you have in your head, those deep thoughts, I want to vocalize those. So how do you do that? You do that by not having set questions, but having areas to explore, concepts to go into. And you can deviate from those. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you find gold, find gold. But there's so many people that do it very intentionally vanilla, you know what I'm saying? Intentionally vanilla. A lot of people go into conversations and are like, I just need to have this conversation so I can say that I had it so I can move on from there. You know what I'm saying? I need to do this so I can say I've done it and then on to the next one rather than being oh, no, this is something, this is a moment in time, this is beautiful, right? Perception's a bitch. Perception's a bitch for sure. So I know nothing about art. I know nothing about we have so many guests on here. Random guests, from MMA athletes to DJs to yourself. It's out there to directors and everything. A lot of people that we have our first professor coming on in a couple of weeks. Crazy cool stuff, awesome. 9 times out of 10, they're way more intelligent and older than I am, you know? And so this is another one of those situations where I'm definitely a fan of art, and I come from a very small community that's very creative centric. But I have not studied, nor am I well read. I'm just kind of like really passionately curious, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to bring this painting up to you. This is a painting called Las Meninas, and this is the only real painting that I know, if I can find it, right here.
Yeah.
So have you ever seen this painting before? For those that don't know, who are listening on audio only, we're looking at a painting by Diego Velasquez. Tells you how much I know. It's a painting essentially of multiple people looking at each other in various ways, looking at the painter themselves, looking outdoors. And then there's 3 points of reference that you need to know about here. Number 1, there's the backside of a canvas that is front facing a painter. There's also a mirror or a window that shows people in it. There's also someone walking out a door that would show a different angle or perspective. So why I'm really interested in this painting that I found out years ago, I think it's from the 1600s, is that you have no idea where your point of view is from.
Yeah,
as a
it's
viewer,
so convoluted.
You're
right?
like, where am I?
Yes.
And it's a great play on the universe, people around us, our social constructs. What do you think about this painting here?
There's lots of things you could say about it. I mean, conceptually, like you said, everyone is looking in a different, is it literally everyone is looking in a different direction?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the dog.
Even the dog.
Which is super interesting, because typically these old Renaissance portraits, they're going to be looking at the viewer, or they're looking at something that is supposed to draw your eye, like you said, intentionally. That's something hidden. But here it's all over the place, so you may be like, well, what the hell is going on? You know? But at the same time, you can be like, why did he choose to do it, right? And you don't know. You don't have his notes written down, right? So it's the mystery factor to it. And then you have that mirror in the back, which could also be a window. But I've seen a thing where they kind of analyze this painting on YouTube, and it's interesting. They don't really think it is a window, but most likely it's a mirror. But again, to that, so you're supposed to believe it's who the painter's looking at. He's painting those people that you see, right?
Right.
So that's to give you another outside element to what's within the window, right? So it's really good use of space.
But what do you think the artist's intention was here? What do you think I'm going to create this for this reason?
I mean, it could either be he's doing it to just fuck with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
To just break that fourth wall.
Yeah.
You know?
Break that fourth wall. What do you mean?
To make you think of outside of the painting, right?
Sure.
So you're thinking what's really going on, rather than it just being like a 2D flat thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's not many that are like that really kind of play on perception, and they don't follow the exact way that everyone else was doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, especially for that time, because there's only so many painters, right?
At that time, right?
Yeah.
It's not 2019, it's 1604, you know?
Yeah, it may even be 1500s.
Yeah.
But yeah, these old Renaissance paintings are amazing.
Crazy. How much do you study art?
A bit in my spare time.
Yeah.
I do like kind of watch little documentaries, or kind of like artist spotlights, I guess you could say, that like BBC or
Sure.
a big company has done on old painters. But like I never went to post-secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have any art training, you know what I mean? It's all stuff I've done on my own. But just the older I've gotten, the more serious you kind of get into it, and you start questioning the whys, right? So that's why I watch things on these artists, to find out why they do certain things. And And to hear like historians talk about it, you know, these people have really studied this kind of
Intensely.
stuff, and it's like it's not the same. I wouldn't learn the same stuff if I just went to like a general art school per se. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes you just click on the right link that you just, you know, that may teach you about something that you're like, whoa, and then you just fucking go down that internet rabbit hole
For hours.
and you just, yes, or days or weeks, you know.
Yeah.
For me, that kind of stuff, like I have a super addictive personality, so
I can tell.
whenever I come across something that I like, or like I get interested in, that's like I'm just blinders on
There.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's kind of, I guess it's partly just to blame why maybe other people might think that, you know, I'm kind of vanilla with how I do things, because I get like so obsessive about what I'm working on that I just kind of like try to bang it out,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really watch much else. Like the whole, I guess I can go into like the whole process of like how I work on things. When I find like an artist that I like, get the photo, the reference. So I only listen to that artist when I paint them or draw them. And so however long it takes, you know, like 100 hours, 40,
Damn.
whatever, right? So I'll just like, I make a playlist of all their stuff.
100 hours?
Yeah,
My
for
goodness.
sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I'll just like only listen to them. If I have breaks, like I'll take breaks, or I'll work on stuff for a couple hours a day, then I'll take a break for the night, whatever. If I'm kind of like watching stuff, like I'll be looking up interviews on these people if they're available. I'll watch like all their music videos. Like I do anything I can to,
Because you're a nerd. You
I
love
am
it.
a
You're a
nerd.
nerd. Yeah,
Yes.
I love it.
But
Oh, sorry, a hip hop historian. That's the way I should. That's what I should have said.
yeah, that's way better. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's just kind of how I am and how I work. So whenever I get put onto something that sparks my interest or I like, that's just like I'm just kind of like boom, like
There.
that's all I care about.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see you go and try to reflect a moment in time within an artist, or reflect the mood, or reflect the message, and you know how you're doing it, the images you choose, or the positions you choose these artists in, or all these different dynamics. When I was going through your art, and specifically some of your more recent works,
Yeah.
the Beyoncés, the
Oh, yeah.
Nipseys, the Biggies, how do you draw the eyes? Like, not how do you draw the eyes, but they're different. Everyone is different. There seems to be angle here, like the eye itself, the actual expression around the eye. Like they all seem to say something different. Like they say in modeling, like smize or some shit.
Smile with your eyes.
Smile with your eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
You seem to be able to convey a message or a mood or a feeling or an emotion through these eyes. How do you even, is there a thought process? Is that purposeful, or is that just like going here?
No, it's not purposeful at all.
Really,
but
eh?
what's funny that you say that is when I was like growing up, getting into like doing portraits and stuff, I think it was my dad. My dad first. He was like, he'd always be like, the eyes. He's like, how do you do the eyes? He'd always say the same thing. And this is like, you know, when I'm like 10.
Yeah.
He would always point that out, even to this day. Like he'll walk by something I have or whatever, and it was just like, I guess it's his way of kind of like, you know, you still do the same thing. He's like, oh, those eyes though, you know what I mean? And like a few other people have pointed that out before, including, so it's funny that it's nothing I like go into thinking about.
Really?
But maybe something that would affect like what you're saying is, I don't think about doing the eyes, but I try to find, like for me, it's all about the photo. Like the photo is so crucial to me.
Of course.
That's why there's tons of people I really like that you won't find them on my page, because I just haven't found a photo that I'm like, that's it. You know what I mean? But yeah, so if I find a photo, I want to find a photo that when I see it, I'm like, that's it.
It hits you
You know what I
instantly,
mean? Like,
yeah.
and what I'm looking for within like that's it moment is I'm trying to find not something that is completely played out, not something that is just killed, that's been used everywhere, which is hard if you're doing someone that's older, because
there's only so many photos.
Like Biggie, for example, someone who's only like super popular for a short window. It's like how many photos are taken within 8 years.
God, it's such a short time.
Yeah. Crazy. So I try to find a photo, A, that's not played out, and B, that I think conveys their personality. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about smiling through the eyes, I try to find a photo of someone that you can look at it and you can kind of get a sense of who they are from it, and that's that's intentionally, like those are things I really think about when I finally decide on a photo.
It seems like there's it's the when I look immediately at it excuse me, it seems as if the photo and the stance is extremely important, but it also seems like, again, it just comes back to that eye area. Like it seems like it really, like everyone I looked at, I was like, oh, there's something here. I don't know what it is, but there's something here. Maybe it's an interesting byproduct of the way you're approaching things. I don't know, but maybe it is, right? Like maybe the eyes, I never really noticed, are what I'm looking for that personality. Maybe, maybe. Yeah, it could very well be, but it jumped out at me for sure. When you're doing these photos, and these pieces of work, what's the purpose?
The purpose?
What's the purpose of a particular artist, or like, what do you want the impact of this to be? Why do it other than I just really fuck with this artist? Because you're ahead. Like I can tell that. You're a hip hop head. You're gonna fuck with a lot of artists. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure your catalog is huge, and I'm sure there's a long list of people that you want to do.
Yeah.
But when you look at each individual one, it's like, well, why are you devoting your time to this one now, right?
Sometimes it just pans out that way. Mm-hmm. Where maybe I'll just happen to find a photo. You know what I mean? Or
Fair enough.
I have lots of pieces that I've started and I haven't finished. Mm. And I try to stay on one and kind of work through it if I can. That's the best. That's ideal. But sometimes you hit those dead ends of just inspiration, even though you've already been inspired to start it. But it's hard to kind of just, push through and keep it going. You just kind of you sit down, whether it's a painting or a drawing, I use the term, you just kind of end up pushing paint around is what it feels like, honestly. Like that Biggie one I just did, that one was such a struggle for me. And it really felt like one of those, I would put 10 hours in, next day I'm doing another 10 hours, and then I'd be 6 hour the next day. And I'm just it looks the same to me, I literally feel like I'm just pushing the charcoal around. It's just, I'm not making any progress, even though I'm putting all these hours. But sometimes you just need that break. So, I try to be so consecutive with back-to-back days, whatever, work on it for a week, just boom, bang it out. But yeah, the more you're around it, you don't really notice it changing, right? So it's like having, I have a puppy right now, so seeing her every day, I don't really see her grow. But if I look at a photo of her 2 months ago, I'm like, holy shit.
Wow, she's a lot bigger.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So if you're always around it, this is just what I've noticed, is it has that effect where you just need to take a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
A day or two off, you come back to it, and then you're you have those fresh eyes, and you're okay. You're it has come together more. Okay, this is definitely, I need to work on that area, and should be good. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Yeah, that's super important, is to know when to walk away. Not only when it's done to walk away, but to walk away to to let it be what it can be,
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a bar. Where do you find that inspiration then from? If it's not directly from the music or from the interviews, for instance, if you're halfway through a piece on artist X, or any artist or anything in general, when you really hit that roadblock, how do you get out of it? Where do you go? What do you do? I mean, you can say you walk away, but what does that really mean?
Well, yeah, like I said, I had that with the Biggie one the other day. Like I just finished it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like getting super frustrated with it. And I was like, man, I had to like stop myself. I was like, I literally need to walk away. And I grabbed headphones and I just went like on a hike.
Yeah.
Because the area that I live in is pretty isolated.
Yeah.
So I'm like a couple minutes away from a super nice like provincial park, like hike that's like hard to get to.
Nice.
So being out there is nice. You just have good views, it's just water.
Yeah. You just give yourself space, basically.
Yeah.
Sparking a creative flame, super difficult.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
It's almost impossible, right?
Especially if you're aware that that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You're going to douse it.
Yeah. That's what, I mean, you have to, I find personally, and I don't even work in creative spaces, but just whether it's finding inspiration for, pushing a relationship with someone or furthering communication or building something, on a macro scale, I find as if like I have to go into a state of being, like a state of pure presence, and that's hard. So I might seem a little extroverted. I'm one of those mixed, I gain energy by being by myself, right?
Yeah.
And so artists are very similar. I think you're maybe a similar way. And so for me to go into, when we are that way, when introverts are that way, we live in our own heads, right? We listen to the constant hum of our own minds, right? There's always, crazy people walking around. You see a crazy person on the street. I hear voices. We're not that much different. We hear voices too. We just keep them inside, right? So for me, it's calming that or just silencing that voice through whatever it may take so I can get into that flow state. For me personally.
Okay, so you find silencing it?
Find silence. Like go to silence.
Oh, going to silence. So you're not trying to silence those voices.
Yeah, just literally there's no judgment, there's no nothing. It's just like go into a place in some activity, whether that's physical, mental, whatever it is, just find a place of stillness.
Yeah.
Because when you're so caught up in the noise, you can't hear anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And then I find once I go into that silence, I hear something, I go on to a tangent of thought or like a tangent of inspiration almost. I'm like, oh, that was it. Like that's what that looks like. I was trying to build this, but I couldn't visualize that, and that's it. But that's coming from someone who doesn't even work in a creative field. As an introvert, you are drawing people and you market yourself. So within being an introvert, it's so interesting to me because you host these made shows. And it just seems like direct contrast. Like for instance, like I've been to the shows. Like the shows are dope. It's a great vibe, great music, great people, lots of creatives. And I'm like, how is Adam doing this? Like, how is he going from these direct polar opposites? It seems like to me, if I was you, I would just be like, hey, Icy, can you put this on for me? I'm gonna just go back to the Sunshine Coast. You know what I'm saying? How do you do that?
I don't know. Like I guess, well, what I like, first of all, what I liked about Instagram so much, like that's the social media that I really use.
Sure.
Was because it didn't start out as video, right? Keep in mind, it didn't start out as video. Right. And it was only photos. And it wasn't about captions. It wasn't Twitter. It wasn't Facebook status. You're not trying to get brownie points.
It was solely images.
From people, So it was just what I liked about it it's just photos, and so you're just sharing a picture, right?
Yeah, done.
And I was like, I really like this. I was like, this gives me a way to share what I do, and just let it be. Just see where it goes. Like I don't have to give a big description on it. You don't have to do like some deep dive, like talking breakdown about it for someone to be like, if you're looking at it, I want you to think about, you know what I mean? Like which is cool,
Yeah.
you know, but that was just kind of my introduction to really getting into social media. And yeah, I liked it because I am an introvert.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I'm not big on like social stuff. So for me, it was just kind of, I don't have to really be involved, you know,
Yeah.
I can just post this stuff and it's all good. And then if people ask me things and I can reply, it's okay. And the maid thing came about. So it's been like 6 years now.
Wow.
Just over 6 years.
Wow.
And the first one, I was just a part of it. Like I didn't know Icy. We got introduced through a mutual friend, and when that got organized, my friend was like, "Oh, my friend is doing this event, and he wants it to be a hip hop theme." So he's like, "I told him that you do stuff," and honestly, it was before I even had Instagram.
Wow.
So it wasn't like you can look at his Instagram like nowadays,
Yeah.
you know. So he was just word of mouth, right? So he's like telling him, I have a friend who does stuff, like if you need people, right? And I got a call one day and it was Icy, and it was like, he hadn't told me he was going to phone me, nothing. I was like, who's this? I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and then he kind of told me about the show. He's like, just bring as much as you can, right? And I was like, oh shit, okay. And like before I knew it, like I didn't really agree to it, but I felt bad because like my friend kind of like put us together, and then I didn't want to kind of leave Icy hanging, and I was like, okay, fuck, because like you said, it's not really my type of thing, you know what I mean?
I understand, yeah.
Especially 6 years ago, right?
Of course.
So like it's cool now, but yeah, back then. And yeah, he was just like, just bring as much as you can. He's like, I need to fill the space. So I did a bunch of stuff like as fast as I could, and filled it up. He was stoked. And then since then, we really got along at the event, and then we just like, I don't know, kept doing more together. And then before I knew it, that was just like how you said, something totally opposite to what I would do, and I'm like in it.
You're like
you know?
super in it.
Yeah.
Super in it.
But it's cool. Like it's been a good experience.
It's been a good 6 years.
Like,
you guys have good turnouts.
Yeah, like it was a good experience, just like kind of putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? That was the first time I'd ever had shown my art.
Wow. Really though?
Yeah. So it was my introduction to doing that, which was cool.
And you're still doing it.
And I was part of it. Like I was one of the artists, you know what I mean? I wasn't the guy that runs it.
You weren't the guy behind it.
Yeah,
really,
you know what I mean?
The focal point.
So yeah, it was a good learning experience for me. And it's done really, really well over the years. Yeah, it's a super fun thing.
Where does Made come from? Like, who was it? Your idea? Was it Icy's idea? How has that gone?
That was Icy.
That's Icy, right?
Yeah. Because that one, the first one that he did, that was the one that I was part of. Yeah.
What's the inspiration behind the name? Because it's got a ring to it. Like it's 100%. It's a great name.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those names. You know, it could have so many meanings to different people. I don't know if you've asked him.
I have not.
Personally, yeah.
I have not. And I should have. He was on the freaking podcast
I was gonna say,
a long time ago, but yeah.
I wasn't sure if he did a full one or if he did
he did. He did a full one. Yeah, this was like almost a year ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% why he chose it, but when we've kind of talked about it in the past briefly, he had mentioned that it was like just seemed like one of those names, like it was a good thing, you know, we're making things.
Yeah.
And it could be one of those names you add meanings to, you know, as you go. You could make it into an acronym or something.
If you wanted to, yeah.
Like we've joked about ones before, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, I'm not 100% what his like definite answer would be.
Right.
but he came up with that.
Yeah, pretty cool. It definitely rings well, and it's brought a creative community together really, really, really well. Like there's the people you find in that building, wherever it is, and so we'll be hosting one August 15th here. This will probably come out within the week of or the week before. Excuse me, which we're super excited about because it's just like a hotbed of really freaking cool people. Do you like? I know it through self-hired and word of mouth and whatnot. How do you like promo that? Do you have are your hands dirty in that at all? Or are you just like, here's the art?
Promo for Made?
Yeah, promo for Made.
I mean, Icy and I will work some things out. Like we get flyers done.
Yeah.
A lot of it is word of mouth and handing them out to people and posters. And just kind of between our social media.
Yeah, you guys find a way to fill a pretty big room.
And then, for doing it for a few years, we've kind of built a crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely have a crew. Yeah.
So having people that can take photos or video or
recaps.
Yeah, stuff like that. So we're, super thankful to have these people that we can kind of reach out to kind of work with to help us with that kind of stuff because you're only as strong as your team.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely. You're only as strong as your team.
Yeah.
And as a solo entrepreneur, that's an interesting thing for you to grasp. Take me back to 2013, man. Take me back to when you really kind of got on Instagram to the early years, because your art has grown so much, like ridiculous. What was that? So you said you didn't go to post-secondary. There's no formal education there, but someday you were just like, hey dad, like I'm gonna draw. Like what was that?
So you want like the origin story of drawing?
Yeah, like what's the origin story here?
Yeah, well, I've been drawing for forever, since maybe when I was a child, right?
Right, yeah, totally.
3, 4,
Wow,
realistically,
you know what I mean?
Prodigy
on our hands, okay, yeah.
Or sometimes people are like, since I was a baby, or like from the womb to the tomb, But, when I was super young, for sure.
How old are you now?
29.
So you've been doing this for like essentially 20 years, 20 plus years.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, just like any kid, just
of course
doing whatever, right? But I always liked it, always stuck out that this is something I liked. And it's funny, like, when you're a kid and you look back at, like, you think grown-ups are real people, right? Like adults.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, what do I want to be when I'm older? You know what I mean? Like adults, you're like, there's like 10 jobs you think adults have as a kid, right?
Teacher, doctor, lawyer.
Yeah,
fireman.
exactly. You're like astronaut, artist,
cool.
chef, right? So it was always one of those to me. Like, I didn't really think there was much else outside that bubble, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it put it on my radar regardless, right? So I was always like, yeah, I kind of like to do this. What would my options be? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, art. Okay, I like art. An artist is a thing. Cool. Yeah, let's go with that.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I like that.
But I guess you need that, like, that child mentality where it's so simple that you can just cut through everything else. And you're just like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, you're still doing that to some extent today.
But it's funny. I don't really plan around it. I didn't plan to do this, even though if you look back, it would totally seem as if I did. Again, it's just something I stuck with and I like doing, and then there's periods where you don't do it as much. Got into being a teenager, like early teens, really got back into it. And I was super big into like comics and stuff growing up.
Of course.
Especially for the art. Like I didn't really read the comics too much. It was just the artwork was just whoa to me. So I would always try to like copy like the covers or draw my favorite superheroes like on my own time, right?
Who was it?
Spider-Man.
Nice. Of course, obviously.
Spider-Man for sure. So yeah, I'd always be drawing superheroes. Tons of them are Spider-Man, but they're all people.
Of course.
So that's what got
Very
me.
people centric.
That's what got me on, like, to people, drawing people in particular, right? And then going from that, I kind of like stopped doing art for a little bit. I got like I was saying, I have a really addictive personality, so I was like, this is my life right now, doing comics and these drawings. And then I discovered skateboarding, and skateboarding was like, holy shit.
The shit.
Yes.
Yeah, this is epic.
Yeah, skateboarding, like, it still is. I love it. I still do it. But yeah, that was like the years I was dedicated. I dropped everything for skateboarding.
When was this? How old were you at this point?
I was probably maybe like, I was grade 6 when I really started skateboarding. So that would have been 2000. Yeah. So all throughout high school, and then a couple years after, like, I still did art throughout high school and stuff. That's kind of what kept me doing art, really, was like the art class. But it's the stuff you do in art class it's all over the place, as you know, if you've taken art high school, right?
It's everywhere.
They'll be getting you to do a clay sculpture,
and
you're
paper
doing
mache and,
yeah, you know what I mean? So you may not even touch a medium you even like, or you may not even know you like it. But yeah, skateboarding, stuck with that. Then started getting a little bit older. I was like getting hurt more and stuff. And when you're hurt, I'm like, what else can I do? So I would get back into drawing. So
what were you doing to support yourself at that time?
At that time?
Yeah.
Like when I was skating?
Yeah, like when you were skating and drawing, or a little bit in between.
That was high school.
Right.
Like late elementary, early high school.
So right after high school, when everyone was like, hey, I'm going to GRU, and you're like, I'm going to...
Yeah. Well, I didn't have money to go to art school.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was, what else can I do? I got to get a job.
Yeah.
So my options were pretty limited. So
of course.
A guy that I skated with worked at a distributor.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, come in, man. He's like, they said you could come in, just do a good job. They'll probably keep you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll pay you and it'll be fine.
Yeah. It was just one of those. And then I kind of floated around doing warehouse stuff. And then I worked retail. And yeah, it's just, a lot of it has been kind of in the skateboard industry, or retail. Like, but all to do with like clothing or skateboarding, like within that kind of circle.
Sure.
But yeah, when I got back into doing art, I was like, where did I leave off? Drawing people. Yeah. Okay. What other people can I draw? And music has always been huge for me.
Right.
Like, I always, like, anything I've ever done has always been with the radio on or like my Walkman or something, right? So it's just kind of one of those things where, maybe you look back and I'm listening to music and I'm like, oh yeah. Maybe I'll draw this person, but I just didn't really see art of artists that I liked. For one, I mean, you can find 1,000,001 portraits of Jimi Hendrix, you know what I mean?
Of course.
But if you like fucking Danny Brown, right? Where do you get a portrait of him?
Yeah.
That was just kind of my mentality. Because growing up skateboarding, there's so much different music in skate videos, and that's what put me on to so much.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right? And skateboarding and hip hop is fucking tight knit, so that was a really huge influence on me, getting me into hip hop with skateboarding. And the guys I grew up skating with were all way older than me, like 4 or 5 years older than me. So those dudes were like, they were like giving me their Biggie, like, oh damn, like Tupac.
You put on some game.
Ice Cube, like I would get all that shit on Easy. Yeah, that's what I grew up on. So I'm like the kid in grade 5 listening to these CDs from like my homies in grade 9, grade 10.
Yeah.
you know,
explicit
I'm
shit.
listening to like Wu-Tang.
Yeah, let's go.
And no one else knows what the fuck I'm listening to,
of
right?
course.
It's like no one around me like that kind of shit.
Yeah, because hip hop, people don't understand hip hop and rap like was not popular. Like it was not, especially up here. It was like,
And unless you were like of age, you know what I
of age,
mean?
and
Like,
even
and you
if
could
you-
go to shows or
yeah.
something like that. But still,
no, it's not. It's
social
definitely
media
not like
was
it
not
is
a
now.
thing. You know what
No,
I mean?
of course. You were
Yeah.
definitely an outlier, especially as like this little white guy, like rocking the Wu-Tang, Ice Cube, and Biggie. Like, that's
Yeah,
like,
it was like people that I grew up around, except for those way older dudes that I would see whenever, were the only ones that could relate. You
yeah,
know what
of
I
course,
mean?
Of course.
And like you said, it wasn't the same. So now, you know, you could scroll on social media, see someone, oh, I'm at like this concert, and you're like, no way, you like that music too.
No, it's
Like
easy.
back when we were young, it was like, oh shit, you know, you have like a Nas shirt on. You like
Yeah.
Nas too?
Dude, it's not even that. I remember like being on the bus and being like taking out my headphones and like trying to listen to see like what are other people listening to, and like just like I would listen for the drums.
Oh yeah.
I would just listen for the drums, like, oh, I fuck with that kid. Like, I listen for that kid, right? And that's how I like find people
Yeah.
to like, you know, rock with over music, because everyone like nobody.
It's hard.
It was like rock. It was like
yeah.
rock. At least
Yeah,
for me.
it really, honestly, like if you were, like when we were young, it was really the stereotypes
Yeah.
that you have to go off of.
For
you know,
sure.
it's like if homie's in like a band tee and he's got long hair, you're like, you know, he's gonna fucking like Metallica. You know, like you can chop it up with him about some whatever, right?
Yeah.
You know your clientele. You know, it was a lot easier back then. Yeah, so that's why it's cool when you have that common interest between someone. You know,
course.
it's like a huge icebreaker when you
Oh my god.
when you come across someone that is that's actually like a fan. You know,
And people feel like as if they know you on a deeper level, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Instagram has done as well. But for artists specifically, like for instance, I can look and see, you know, like your Nipsey one really resonated, right? Is that done?
no,
No, it's not
no,
done.
Yeah, almost.
I've seen it,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
I've
working
seen
on it right
probably
now.
100 times, and it's not even done. And I'm like, oh, just by seeing that or seeing the last 10 people that you've drawn,
Yeah.
I can instantly identify and even go into a conversation with you. Like all the walls are broken down. Like just simple, like you walk in here with a Nas shirt on, like all the walls are broken, like done, it's gone, it's done. You know, like mixing the Nas with the Detroit hat, like okay, I could go off for an hour about that, you know, like just as simple as that. So it's such a beautiful bonding in it, right? And people feel as if they know you. What is it about? I know you're a huge Big Sean fan. What's it about Big Sean that like really gets you going? 'Cause I'm a Big Sean fan too.
His work ethic, man, honestly, is
crazy.
just straight motivation.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm ever like, if I'm ever in a mood and I'm just being a bitch, you know, like honestly, I don't want to work on something. I have a shitty mood,
Yeah.
you know. If you have like that moment where you need to step back, do whatever. His music is like a go-to for me, like for real. He has a lot of the stuff he says is like it really resonates and it's really deep, sits well. And his whole story, man, is just it's super inspirational. Like I don't know if you know much about his come up.
Please enlighten. I mean, I got onto Big Sean, Finally Famous.
Yeah.
That was like my introduction. So
Well, his whole thing with Kanye, do you know
No,
about that?
please enlighten me.
Well, what's cool is like when he was growing up, his local radio station in Detroit, so they used to do these like freestyle battles every Friday, and so he would go. And one day he got a call from his friend, and his friend was like, "Yo, man, like Kanye is gonna be at the radio station, right?" And so Kanye is his favorite rapper, right?
right.
So his friend's like, "Dude, Kanye's gonna be here. You need to come down here and like rap for him." You know what I mean? Like this is your years of working up to you talking about how much you like him, whatever, right? Like this could be your chance, right? So listening to him explain it, he's even like in that moment, he's like, nah, like he even doubts himself to his friend. He's like, nah, like I'm good. Like hangs up, not going, right? And he was just there kind of sitting, convince himself, fuck it. Like, why wouldn't I, right? So
Right.
he gets a ride, goes down, tries to go into the radio station, and they won't let him in,
Of course.
right? So he plays, what's funny, because he does the freestyles there on Fridays, right? So he's like, I left my phone up there. Like, come on, y'all know me, right? Like, I come down freestyle.
Yeah.
And so they let him in. So he's like 6. He got in, and then he met up with him in the hallway and got introduced. And he was like, "Yo, man, like, let me rap for you, right? Like, that's your goal is like, let me rap for you,
Yeah, that was it.
you know."
God, the 2000s
But
were
that's-
so cool.
But that's not even it though, which is cool. Kanye was like, "Nah, like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm on my way downstairs, kind of thing, right?" And he's like, "Come on, man. Like, yo, Last Call is my favorite song. Like," and he's like, oh, he's okay. He's like, "You can rap for me, like, but you have to do it while I walk, right?" So he rapped from the whole time as he walked down, like, to get out the building. Had Kanye like stopped on the street, like, waiting for him to finish, because he was like, "Damn," right? And that wasn't even it. People think it like, you rap for Kanye, like, you're signed now. It's like, boom, no, like, that wasn't even it. That was his moment. That was Kanye's introduction to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? He didn't get signed for another 3 years,
Crazy.
right?
3 years. Yeah.
So imagine, like, and Kanye liking you and you're like face to face,
Kanye.
and you have like incredible skill. You still don't get signed for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder what happened after that in the story. I actually don't know the story. What happened after that? Do you know, like, why a lot? Because some people do get signed off that first.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know, because I remember when we was putting out these tapes, it's like, he's not on. Same thing with Cole, by the way.
Yes.
Same thing with Cole.
Yes.
It was like, why is he not? Where's the J? Where's
Yeah, come on, Hov,
what's
right?
going on? Like,
Yeah.
dude, what happened between that and when he finally got signed?
Just him grinding.
That's it. Yeah.
Just grinding.
Yeah.
You know?
Putting out
like,
shit and shows.
Yeah, just developing as an artist, and just he's always had that passion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just I look up to that for sure. He's stuck with it. He's one of
crazy.
those stories, man. He made it. You know what I mean? He got signed by his favorite artist.
That's crazy.
You know,
So
and
it's
deserves
hard.
it.
Yeah, absolutely does. And he's truly an artist too. Like,
Yeah.
and he can rap, which is even crazier. I remember when he came out with My Last. Remember that with Chris Brown?
Chris Brown.
When was that? That was like 20. I don't know.
Like 2010 or
Yeah.
something.
So I think that was the one where I was like, oh, he finally made it. Like, he's on now. I still love that track. By the way.
Yeah,
that's like one of my favorite Big Sean tracks.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, like, if you're like really, if you just signed somebody, or you just did something big, you hop in the whip, throw it on, boom,
Right?
over the bridge. Like, that's the one right there. You know, so
That's a banger.
that's definitely a banger. And then the progression of the artist. There's certain. I remember. I think it was 2011. Double XL freshman.
Yeah.
2011
For him,
for him.
I would have to double check.
I don't know, something like that, but it was around that 2010, 2011. I remember
Yeah.
it was him, Meek Mill, J. Cole,
So-
Kendrick.
Yeah.
Like, it was like Big Crit,
Crazy.
Fred the Godson. Like, it was
Crazy.
like unreal. And I remember that was the first year I ever saw Double XL, and I was still
Really?
buying the magazine. Yeah, I'm from a real small town.
Where are you from?
Hornby Island.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, word. And that was the first Double XL mag, because I never got the source or anything like that. Like, my introduction to hip hop was like stealing my sister's Dr. Dre 2001, The Chronic,
yeah.
and be like, oh my god, and I
What
was just
is
like, I was like,
this?
this is crazy.
I'm off.
You know, and it was like M50, all that, OB
Yeah.
Trice, all that, and then it just went off. And then I was trying to find. I was like, there was the LimeWire age, right? And so you'd find different torrents and like,
Yes.
oh, who is this? And you try to go back. I literally had dial up for the longest time. People don't understand.
Yeah,
And then I
me
saw
too.
that, and then I saw that Double XL, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, if one freshman cover is this, like, imagine every year. And now I look at it today and I'm like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're a big fan of that, what do you think about it now?
the music has just gone a different direction. Listen, man, I'm in my 20s, man. We're young guys. I can't be out here being like, I don't fuck with new age rap. I can't be out here doing that. Like, rap is definitely, and hip hop is definitely taking a more like punkish approach, and it's definitely embodied that spirit a little bit more, which like I fuck with, and is very cool. Self-expression is amazing. Sonically, it's not my thing. Like, it's just like, I'm very much, again, sonic.
Yeah,
lyric
I mean,
content.
it pulls from a lot of stuff for sure as music grows, as it should. But
what do you think about the new age? What this new kind of?
for me, I'm a lyric guy.
Yeah, of course.
So there's music for all moods. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't listen to this or I only listen to that. Sometimes music is appropriate for every occasion. You just have to find the right one. So even if I don't like an artist or I don't really rock with them, they may have a few songs I like. There, will be things that I'm not a big fan of. There will be things that I am a fan of.
Yeah.
But just personally, like for me, is lyrics.
Yeah.
So if someone that comes out new and is lyrical, then like, okay, cool. That's what I gravitate towards is lyrics.
Yeah, and those guys. This is a weird question, but who conceptually do you really rock with? Like the idea of this person is amazing, or you resonate with, but sonically you just don't. Is there any artists like that for you? Like super weird question, I know.
No, I mean I get the question.
Or the other way around.
So someone
Who's
either I I rock with and I don't like the music, or I like the music, I don't like the person.
Exactly. Like there's a disconnect there for some reason.
That's something I would have to think about. There's so many artists, and like that I would have to really think about.
I see you like going through the encyclopedia in
the
your head
Rolodex.
right now.
I mean, there's definitely people I like that say things, and I'm like, yeah.
Kanye.
Oh,
that's another combo.
Lots of people.
Yeah.
But or even I don't know. That's something I would have to
meditate on a little bit.
I would have to think about. I'll think about it and see if I can come up with something.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's gonna be hard to say, but honestly, like, this is weird. Jaden Smith,
yeah.
Love conceptually what that man does. Don't rock with the music. Like there's a couple tracks like I really fuck with, like Soho, Calabasas Freestyle, PCH, some old shit.
Yeah.
Simba. But most of his music I'm just like, nah, next. But conceptually
I can agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. He does a lot of activist stuff and like that.
Like very much so. He's very aware for his age.
Like he's got that water thing going.
Yeah, just water.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's the only one I can really think of. And while you were going through your Rolodex, I was trying to go through my Rolodex because I threw that question out without having anything in any comeback there. But I think Jaded for sure because, yes, I love the Just Water. I'm a big Tesla fan. I love what he does there. He's very aware. He does this very rare thing where people do what they feel, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like unheard of, like not unheard of, but very hard to come by in this day and age. But I remember when I first had my introduction to him, I was like, "Yo, you're Will Smith's son." Like,
yeah.
What? Like,
and that sucks for him because that's a big shadow, right?
Huge.
You don't want to be like known as
Will Smith's kid.
You do and you don't, but you don't want that to be the defining factor.
But it is like, well, maybe it's not today.
Yeah,
not today, but it definitely was.
Yes.
Like when Willow and Jaden came out, or like I'm a huge Will Smith fan. So like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I grew up on all that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Pursuit of Happiness is my favorite movie. All this type of stuff.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Oh, for sure. I cry every time, man. That's my jam. Love Pursuit of Happiness. So it was just like seeing him come out and like try to rap. I was like, come on, like. You're not really gonna.
You think thinking that he might ride the wave. Is that what you were thinking?
Ride the wave and just be like, you're a son of a billionaire. Like I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Well, big ups for him though, because he broke through.
Most definitely.
Right.
Most definitely.
So,
who you like as a hip hop head? Who are you really looking at right now? Who are the new guys coming up? Who are you like tuned into? Who are you excited to draw? Who's giving you inspiration in your day to day life right now?
Like new people.
Yeah, like within the last 12 months, maybe that have like kind of broken out, or even within the last 18.
Her. Yeah.
I should have guessed that. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, I have become a pretty big fan of her.
Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Shout out to her for doing that.
Yeah, I just watched a thing the other day, and I didn't realize she's 21.
Wow.
I saw a link, and it was she's celebrating the 20. I thought the 21 is like the name of the video.
No.
Right? It was,
Oh,
but
it was.
it was because she's like has clips of her 21st birthday. I was just like, wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
So much talent, huh?
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Anybody in the less than R&B space, more in the hip hop space you're looking out for right now?
Who am I really looking at right now?
Rolodex.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
Rolodex.
who's really stood out though, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's people I've seen and I'm just kind of like, maybe Lil Baby.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the new freestyles for the freshmen
Ooh, I have not yet.
and Meg Thee Stallion.
Okay.
She's dope.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
She can really rap. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about.
Yeah. She's really blown up. So to see someone who's blown up and has like is the trending, you know what I mean, but who actually has talent,
Yeah.
like I love to see that.
Yeah. It's
She's
been a while.
hard. And DaBaby, that guy
Yeah.
too. He
Yeah, he can
fucking
go.
they were both in the same freestyle.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about the maturation of the kind of how hip hop has matured a little bit? Because there's a lot of artists coming out right now that I'm frankly just not paying attention to because I'm so caught up on like Rhapsody coming out with a new
Yeah.
album. Like that's crazy. Jay's 444, just to name two off the top of my head. Like I'm still super nostalgic and super caught up in like that our past 20 years that I like really have missed a ton.
There's so much music
It's ridiculous.
and there's new stuff coming out every week, whether it's a mixtape or an actual project or a later project from someone you already have been riding with forever.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I put so many listens into a project that like I have something on repeat for like weeks.
Yeah.
you
What's on
know?
repeat for you right now?
Well, I just listened to Chance's album today.
We were just
like,
playing that before you walked in. Yeah.
I gave it a once through.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, it's a nice album for sure.
I'll first listen. I like it. Well, what else? Well, Nipsey. Yeah. Victory Lap.
Yeah.
That shit's a classic.
Yeah, no doubt.
What else is newer?
What do you think about this new Drake and this new Rick Ross run? How do you feel about that whole thing?
What do you mean?
Did that because so there's like when I think of artists, there's the super old schools and that like the Jays, I guess that's like considered old school, and then there's like the Rick Rosses or like the T-Pains and stuff that are like still coming out with like new music,
Right.
but they're like from the early 2000s type of era, and then there's like the middle child like J Cole, right, and
Kendrick
Meek Mill
and
Kendrick and
those
whatnot,
guys, yeah.
right, and there's like kind of like different segmentations. This
Yeah.
is just my own mind of how I kind of look at it, and I've kind of like everything past the middle child, like I've kind of missed. Like I'm so in love, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to get caught up
It's
in that
just
for
super
sure
easy to get
because
caught up.
when music's good, it's fucking good.
And it sticks.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can go off music like literally all the time, but we had Flip Out on, and I asked him the same question.
Yeah.
What do you think about this new era? And he's like, I love it. And I'm like, what? I was like,
Oh, you wanted him to just
I
trash it?
just wanted to be like, nah, fuck these new kids and this mumble rap and da 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 da. And he was like, no, it's really cool. Like it's an evolution of the art, and they're finding new ways to explore sonically. And I was like, damn it. And
I think that's a big part of hip hop.
Yeah.
I think being a fan of hip hop and what it was like, how I was introduced to it was what it started out as. You know, so it's easy to be like for it to kind of be your baby, so to speak. I think that's how a lot of people perceive it that are around our age or older, and then you see what it's kind of become, and like that's not what I know it as, you know. Yeah. So I don't like what it is. Like this isn't hip hop to me. Like what I know hip hop as isn't what this is. But people don't understand. You know, you have those old school people that inspired the Coles, right? Cole inspired those new guys, and that's what it is now, you know? 100. So it's always going to be changing. Hip hop always has its roots. There's always going to be people on both, you know, sides of the spectrum. And it's you have to just take it as it is, and it's good. Like, if something stays the same,
that's not it.
Yeah.
That's not art. Art doesn't stay the same, right? There's classics, but art doesn't stay the same. It's funny, as you were just talking, I just remember, like, it's like a relationship. It's like a marriage.
Yeah.
It's literally like a marriage. Like, she was one way and now she's this way, but she's grown, it's a partnership. It's not a marriage.
It's only natural, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. It is funny because, like, I used to love her, like reference the old Common track, right? I used to love her, and he's talking about hip hop. And for me, I used to love her, but it's funny because I actually love her, HER, now, you know what I'm saying? So it's like interesting how these worlds have just like constantly collided, and now we're like on to this new, completely uncharted territory.
It's the power of influence, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, so like I said, I'm gonna get way sidetracked. But yeah, when Flip Out came on, I was like, come on. I was like, no. And he's like, well, you should love it. You're a little kid. I'm like, no, I hate it.
You're a little kid.
No, he didn't say that, but he's like, Flip Out's a music encyclopedia. He's a god. Like, get out of here. He's
OG,
he's
man.
ridiculous on the table. So that was a very, very cool experience for me, seeing that generation.
For sure.
Anyways, and so for you drawing these portraits of this music that's influenced you so much, you said in an interview with Music on the Wall that music, like you alluded to earlier here, it's constantly in the background. It's constantly white noise. You literally, if you're driving, if you're walking, if you're painting, it's there, right?
Yeah.
I've been the same way since I was like a little kid. Like it was, and I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason to that, but it's just like, for me, I have a ton of thoughts, so I need to focus in on one thing, and that actually grounds me and allows me to go to other places, right?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Have you thought of going to a place without music, like drawing without that music?
I mean, sure.
I mean, I thought about it,
I'm not crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about it for sure,
Right.
but for me, it just wouldn't work.
You think so?
No, it wouldn't turn out the same. No, because I think with what I do, listening to that artist and like being surrounded by, like diving into finding out who they are, watching things on them. You're seeing how they are, how they interact. So you're kind of seeing their personality, not only as like their rapping ability or singing ability, whatever. Mm-hmm. That if I didn't have that when I'd be doing it, it would just be, to me, it would be static. It would just be flat. It wouldn't have any substance. I
understand.
Yeah, that's just for me. Like, I need that to do it.
I understand.
Yeah,
I'm the same way. But other artists are complete opposites, right?
Yes. Yeah. I know. I've talked with artists that do portraits too, and I'm not gonna name names, but someone told me, I saw this Snoop portrait they did.
Sure.
Amazing. And I was like, damn. I was like, how long did that take you? She was telling me, oh, I did it over a weekend. Yeah, I was just listening. I was like, oh, what do you listen to when you do art, or do you watch stuff?
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of like when I was really getting into like Instagram and you're connecting with people.
Sure.
I'm like, what's your process like?
Of course.
Like, you put the TV on, whatever. She's like, no, I was just listening to, I think she said Metallica. It was some metal.
What?
Yeah. And I didn't say anything to her, but to me, I was like,
how?
I was like, why would you? I mean, that's her process, whatever, right? That's cool, but.
And obviously the result was amazing.
Yeah, but I was like, man, you listening to Metallica and drawing Snoop? Works for you, So I was like, oh, strange.
Yeah, very interesting how different people approach their creative outlets, for sure, and the state of mind that they put themselves in.
It also like made me think too, how much of a fan are you of that person?
Good point.
Like, I don't want to be all pointy finger, like, do you even listen to them? You know what I mean?
Are you really a hip hop head? No.
Yeah. But
I understand. I understand completely, right?
Because that's like when I started to notice there's things artists do on social media that are so fucking inauthentic.
Crazy.
And it irks me, man.
Right. We live in that age though.
Where if something's trending, they're like, okay, for example, Lil Peep, right?
Perfect.
Lil Peep,
Yeah.
R.I.P., passed away. Boom, like within a few days, right? You have all these people posting Lil Peep portraits, right? There's people I saw posting that I know have hated on that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same thing with X.
Right? And I'm just like, I could do it, you know?
And
but
you probably get some notoriety off of it.
But honestly, I never listened to him,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm not just gonna fucking do it to get likes. You know what I mean? Like it's so fake to me.
Versus
It's kind of just gross.
Versus like the Nipsey thing too, which also authenticates your brand. That's the other thing too. I know you're not going to, like, if there's some artist that, like, if I see you just throw some on, I'm like, no, that's not it.
Well, with that, I started that before he even passed.
Really? Hey.
You know?
Wow.
So I just had so many other things in between. Then I was moving and like quitting my other job and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was just one of the things that I put on the back burner.
Yeah.
But that's a good example. You know, I noticed that as well too, right? When he passed, everywhere. You can't really hate on it, you know? If, like, for sure, R.I.P., man, that guy is a legend. And if you're going to post and preach positivity, like, who am I to say anything, you know? But I know there's the people out there that are, I'm only going to do this because I want to get likes, and they don't give a shit about who that guy is. Probably don't know what his story was,
what he represents,
his message. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't fans.
Yeah, and that's disrespect on the highest level.
And it is disrespectful because you're trying to like capitalize off his name,
off it, not even and that, off his death.
You're just, it's so, yeah.
I know. So, but then there's the other way you can go about it. Like, so DJ Khaled released that song Higher, right after, but went and asked, you know, type things like that. I feel as if.
Yeah, I read right after it happened, he was filming that music video like the day of or the day before he got shot.
The day before, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So anyways, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But for you, man, with where you're at and, you know, choosing the different artists and your progression over time, you're coming up to 30 here. What's in your mind? You've made it. Like, essentially, like you solely do art. You sustain yourself off that. You seem to be in a really good environment, in a good mental space, doing something you love. Like, tell me I'm wrong, you know? Like, that's it, no?
Sort of. Well, I save money up.
Sure.
I'm not making money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's something that has to be explained sometimes too, because I've had a few people recently ask me about that, and I've had to tell them, like, they're like, how is it being a professional? Or a guy yesterday from Morocco was asking me, how do you make money to pay your bills, or do you make enough doing what you do? You know, I'm like, maybe other people lie to you, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Crazy.
Like, I'm like just trying to fucking, you know, put the blinders on and just do this for the next 6 months or whatever, to really give it a valiant effort. It's really hard to do this and having a full-time job, you know. I'd be up early working on stuff, going to work all day, coming home at night, working on stuff at night, you know, lather, rinse, repeat. And you just burn yourself out, and to the point where you don't even like what you're doing anymore, including the art. You're so fucking burnt out. You're like, you don't enjoy it, right? So I'm taking the time to really like go about it, and I'm taking that risk, and it's not all it's cracked out to be, man. You know.
That's tough.
Pinching pennies that don't exist.
Self-hired, my friend. Yes.
Yes.
Very much so. I love it. So how much does a piece of yours go for? If people want to go reach out to you, where do we go? Like, how much, like, for instance, your Nipsey piece is amazing. Your Beyonce piece is crazy. I like your Chance piece from back in the day. That's another crazy one. I'm just going, whatever. Who cares, Joss? How does someone reach out to you and get one of these pieces? What's the price point like? Or is it negotiable based on the person, or based on the painting, or
It's not negotiable on the person.
Sure.
So that isn't a factor.
Yeah.
So if you're of high importance.
Right.
You have money.
You pay.
You have more money than the person that doesn't. You know what I mean?
Of course, I understand.
But yeah, people just like will reach out to me on Instagram. That's the best way to
DM
for people to get a hold of me. And price, it just depends on what it is. Like I do so many different mediums, so the medium depends on how much time, right?
Sure.
So
like if you put 100, 200 hours into something,
and it's honestly it's that's one of the most often questions I get asked by people. Is they're like, I'm trying to sell stuff. How do you price something? How do you, and they expect you to just give them a boom answer, right? And I know how it is. I was like that too. Like you don't know, like how does it work? But honestly, there's so many factors. Like it just comes down to, you have to give yourself an hourly wage. Like how much is your time worth an hour? Period is the first thing you should decide.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're gonna be fucking teetering on maybe if right,
and you're bending over backwards for someone.
But if you're like, boom, $20 an hour,
which is like
took me this many hours, that's okay, that's a price. What were my cost of supplies? Okay, there's that price, so say $600 an hour, like to finish it, $200 in supplies. Okay, I don't live in the city. I gotta take a ferry, come and drive to Vancouver to get art supplies. What about that gas money?
Yeah.
What about that 6-hour trip?
What about the time?
Yeah, like those kind of things you can factor for sure.
Yeah.
But mostly it's just, honestly, give yourself an hourly wage. It'll help you out so much to just kind of make it easier to figure it out. And then supplies. Yeah, that's really the golden rule for that.
So for you, where should we push people here? Should we push people towards your IG? You don't have an active web?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Not really.
Man, we gotta have a little marketing conversation here.
Dude,
like, come on,
it's
my
money
guy.
and time, and
jeez,
I'm not a computer whiz.
You're a pure artist. Like that's why a lot of these guys get managers when like these artists,
Dude,
they
for
want
real,
to mix
people
the
have
business
been
and
bugging me for years. You should get a manager, right?
you're like, who's gonna pay them?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, literally. So,
but I'm like, it would be nice to have someone take care of stuff.
Really would. So where do we push people? We push them to your Instagram at NDlocal.
That's the best way. Yeah.
Cool. If they want to ask questions, same spot.
Yeah.
Oh, we're centralized.
I get it all day, man. People reach out to me about art stuff. It's awesome.
I love it. It's great. So what's next for you, man? Like what's the next milestone here? What are you like looking to do? Is it self-sustaining? Is it another made show? What is it? Is it a certain person buying your stuff? What is it?
Well, the next one we're doing August 15th.
August 15th. Yes, sir.
Which,
yes, sir.
Is on Nipsey's birthday.
Yes.
Which people will soon find out. Is the theme of the event. And then the next one is going to be my next solo one.
Wow.
In December.
Wow.
Yeah. So
cool.
I've been working for 3 years on this. So
wow.
I've been banking up a lot of stuff.
Very cool.
To show.
Very
I already
cool.
have a space. I'm going to try to do it for a few days, not just like a pop-up party.
Yeah.
I want to do it for, I'm going to be 30 this year.
My gosh.
Yes. I want to take it a little bit more serious.
And
I want to show people kind of my progression since, like, by the time I do it, it'll be about 3.5 years since my previous solo show. So I want to show people the progression I've made. Not only with the art, but presentation and execution.
Experience.
And there's a few other things that I haven't done before that I'm going to do with it that I haven't seen anyone else do.
Ooh. All right.
I'm excited to have it. Yeah, I'm just trying to just get people stoked.
Dope.
These events, honestly, they're not so much about me. They're more for like Vancouver and the community, just trying to get people together. And I don't see a lot of people really doing these kind of events. And for the younger people that are up and coming, it's so hard to break through, and unless you're like classically trained or you have that degree, or have, you know, like a gallery that represents you, which is really hard to get that. What do, right? You have Instagram.
That's it.
The online gallery, right? But even still, it's like, do you want to leave your city hanging? You know?
Exactly. Yeah,
like,
totally.
So, yeah, I want to just be a good example of what you can do with the resources that you have in the city for the people that want to follow. Yeah,
there's a lot you can do with what you have, man. Appreciate you, man. I'm excited to watch you grow and see where this all goes in the next couple of years, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful foundation. You continue to grow, like, sure, from the business side is one thing, seeing where you go there, but just like seeing the development of your art, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, looking over the past 6 years, seeing what the next 6 years looks like.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, looking for who's the next person that you bring on. Like, I'm interested in being like, oh, when you actually do hire that assistant, paid or unpaid, or intern, paid or unpaid, who cares? Like, interested to see who you kind of like co-sign and who you foster and how you build your community, because you're just at the start of it all, and you're to the point where you've like mastered or have touched into mastery on your craft, and now the world opens up. So very exciting time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your experiences and everything. People at NDlocal, and we'll see you August 15th.
All right.
August 15th. Cheers, man.
All right, thanks.
That's right.